Well, I'm glad that some people actually made it back. I'm going to take a few minutes to allow people to rejoin. My sincere apologies for this. It feels like I'm crying a bit inside. Yeah, I just warned my fellow presenters for the remaining days to triple check that their Zoom meetings can last over 35 minutes. Gotta love technology. Well, but probably I could have prevented this. So again, my apologies. Like I said earlier, I never use Zoom, but that shouldn't be an excuse. Just gonna, yeah, it is being recorded. So we can probably merge the recordings when we share them. I assume that I am still, people can still hear me.
Yes, yes, we can hear you and we can see your slide.
How long is the
Yeah.
session? Um, well, if you were here for the last 40 minutes, then we are now getting started again. After the 40 minutes, I'm going to wrap up in 20. So this is a shorter recording for those looking at the recording and a bit shorter session for those who rejoined me. So appreciate you rejoining. So we just discussed the first four principles that I distilled from a whole bunch: fairness, transparency, privacy, bit of security, accountability. The remaining ones: reliability, inclusiveness, ethical use, societal impact on the right here. I'm going to briefly address right now. So reliability. So we had fairness about the predictions. Reliability, we want to make sure that the system has been really thoroughly tested. So has it been tested for edge cases? Has it been tested for just the regular flow, for the majority, the big samples of in subsamples in our data? What's the accuracy around different subsets? Just some really basic stuff also, like a k-fold validation for your hyperparameter tuning, or maybe even a tuning set. So how reliable is it, or what is the chance that we are overfitting, I would say, on a specific subsample of our data? So again, edge cases, have we considered those? So are we consistent across different environments or different subsamples of our data? And if we encounter problems, if something unexpected occurs, do we have a fallback? So think of a recommender model. Do we maybe have a standard set of often bought products that we can recommend if we can't predict, or if the prediction is out of bounds for whatever reason? Not to suddenly, I don't know, recommend guns to minors or so. Just thinking of some weird stuff here. Then inclusiveness. So inclusiveness is, of course, the inclusiveness of your different subsamples in your data. But to be fair, fairness also covered that already. But you can also think of inclusiveness of including different stakeholders in the development process. So if you create a CV selector, just coming with an example again, of course we included HR with the HR manager, but did we also include some recruiters? Did we maybe include some people who just got hired, maybe even some people who didn't get hired? So did we include, I don't know, salesperson of LinkedIn as a stakeholder? So are these different perspectives, so different people can, well, that they bring to the table, are those different perspectives considered in your model development process? And again, I would say log whoever you include and their well, contributions and what you did with those. Ethical use. So how do we make sure that the system does not do any harm or does not discriminate? So a good friend of mine, she works at the Dutch police, and we always have this discussion of discrimination because certain ethnic groups in the Netherlands are overrepresented in the criminal records. And she says, well, so we should do more profiling on those people. And I tell them, no, that's because of your data collection process, because you have over years and years, over decades of time when you collected the data, primarily focused on that group. if you really start looking, you always find something. And probably the truth might be somewhere in the middle. I don't know. I don't want to have any political statements here. I just want to give it as an example that there could be some aspects in your data collection that might be flawed because people are flawed, or they might be flawed because of some certain reasoning that maybe at some point made sense, but maybe not anymore, or maybe not at scale. So that's one. Discriminate profiling, systems shouldn't do any harm. For state aid applications, no AI is being used. So to the extent that I know, and the participants that I had in my trainings earlier, because they can't explain what's happening and they are afraid of discriminating without their knowledge. I'm not going to say never discriminated. And also, are there any policies in place to ensure that, well, bad actors can't do anything malicious with our systems? So there's this current state. Is it fair? Is it ethical? Doesn't discriminate? But also, what if someone wants to do harm? Can we ensure that that's not going to happen? And then societal impact. So does the system have a positive impact to society, and might not be necessarily applicable, right? But you can also turn it around and you can say, well, doesn't the system do any harm? So have we looked at minimizing potential loss or potential harm from societal perspective, economical perspective, environmental maybe even? So a bit bigger scope than just your company. I know you're responsible for your company, your bottom line, but you are in an ecosystem. And at least in Europe, it's more and more important that you also take care of the ecosystem a bit. But again, might be different in different parts of the world. So, I'm not saying you should copy paste this one-on-one, all these aspects, but it could be guidelines that could actually help you today or tomorrow onwards to at least broaden your perspective of the considerations that you take when developing or implementing AI solutions. In the meantime, I saw another question in the chat, how to get the recorded sessions. Well, my marketing colleagues will take care of that. So everyone who subscribed to the webinar will also get access to the recordings. So those will be shared in a moment. Last phase, go to production scale up. Well, there's a lot of work to be done to take your MVP to a production state solution. So MVP, you could say it works on the laptop of data scientists on Mondays and Tuesdays, where a production state solution is something that always works, or at least almost always, and it also generates value. So instead of learning, which is the focus of the experiment phase, we now want to focus on creating safe, trustworthy, and maintainable solutions. So no data dumps, but real-time data ingestion and preparation. No laptop runs, but scaling or running at scale on the cloud with all the security in place. From experimental code to code that actually complies with standard and has all the tests, unit tests, functional tests, you name it, in there to ensure that the code actually behaves as it should do, or how we wanted to program it. There might be difference there. From one person who knows how to run it to a really well-documented, maintained pipeline. Output on laptop screen embedded in the end user systems. And like I said, from knowledge development to business value realization in the industrialization phase. So all this is needed to take your MVP to a production grade solution. This is just a lot of this is really tech heavy work, engineering work. And then, yeah, then we're almost done, right? I mean, how much work is still to be done after go live? Well, I would say we're only halfway, probably. And I can also back this by more and more articles that are being released about adopting AI. Think of some Harvard Business Review articles about organizations that are really successfully embedding AI in their organizations. Well, they spend at least as much budget on the adoption part as on the development part. And also when I look at our projects, if we forget or don't pay attention to adoption, yeah, you have an awesome Ferrari in the garage and no one knows how to drive. So what does it mean to adopt responsibly then? Because there's a lot to be said about adoption. I mean, there are the entire change management frameworks and methodologies, and I'm not going to address all in the next 11 minutes. But from a responsibly perspective, well, what does it mean? Well, you have to think of awareness education. So trainings, and not only on how to use the tool, but also on some dilemmas. Maybe trainings on legislation, what you can and cannot do with the model predictions. Guiding principles. So what are standards, or what is acceptable for your organization? Again, some dilemmas like ethical dilemmas, but also what are our guiding principles? So for example, at a Dutch bank that I did a lot of work for in the past, they have this code of conduct. So the way how they approach or use customer data. Then implementation. So you want to be responsible by design. So actually I already mentioned a lot of these aspects in the previous checklists, so to say. So is your implementation design in line with responsibility? Both from a technical as well as from organizational perspective. Then responsible management, because, well, this is, so to say, your tech team. But again, also as a management or as a user, you want to make sure that you use the solutions responsibly. And then benchmarking improvement. So over time, you also want to see what's working well, what's not working well, and improve going forward. Maybe do a baseline assessment and then periodic maturity assessment going forward. So, I mean, AI is just a tool. AI is just like any tool. It's just how you use it, that's up to you. And even though AI is a fancy tool, it's still your decision or your responsibility to use it in the right manner. So last 10 minutes on setup for success. So what do you need to consider as an organization to actually then be able to be successful here? So there's a lot of work that I just mentioned, and it's both tech as well as business adoption that comes into play. So what as a leader should we consider? Well, we like to look at building AI solutions. We like to compare it to a successful restaurant, a Michelin star restaurant, well, they're really good fancy ones. They look a bit different than this one, but still, I think the analogy holds. A good restaurant has a good kitchen that makes awesome, tasty food, maybe a bit experimental, but tastes really well, and a good service area. I mean, if you have a great service area, but a kitchen that doesn't make any tasty food, you will have no customers. If you have the best cooks ever, but you have a service area, so people really can't sell the food or pair the wines with the food, or they make a big mess, you probably will not sell as much or do as great as you should be able to do given your kitchen. And in data science, we like to think of the data science team being the kitchen. They make the AI solutions, and the business being the service area, they make the AI solutions happen. So the kitchen contains your analytical capability, the people and skills in there that you need, the tools and tech that you need, and the data that you need. Those three aspects make up your analytical capability to be able to generate or realize AI solutions, to build them. Business adoption is a service area. Think of executive support, funding, and implementation. So the kitchen, they develop trustworthy AI systems. They account for bias in the data, fair predictions. They build guardrail metrics. They make sure that the models are explainable. They implement monitoring, all that stuff. But the business, they use AI systems responsibly, where they decide where to not use AI or where to use AI, how to implement it. They involve different stakeholders, set up governance structures, define your company-specific ethical guidelines. So all those type of activities, I would say as a business leader, you need to make sure that those are on your radar. And empower, I would say, the kitchen staff to do their work. And when we think of AI maturity for an organization, we consider 4 phases, depending how far you are in your analytical capability and or your business adoption. And you need to grow both to mature eventually. So initialization, you have some first use cases, some first opportunity. You boot up some data, some people and tools, probably a lot of external consultant focused still. Then typically you grow your analytical capability. So you pay a lot of attention to your kitchen area. You bit less to the business adoption. So you expand the team infra and you build a number of AI products. And then probably you'll see that the adoption doesn't go, well, flawless. So that's when you really invest on your business adoption typically, and you go towards enterprise empowerment, where you really grow the AI practice across different domains, different teams, and make the business more in the driver's seat to eventually mature both your tech capability and your business adoption to go towards what we call AI democratization, where, well, anyone for whom it's relevant has the skills required to take AI-driven or AI-enabled decision. Again, why, what I said earlier, this role-based access security or role-based access control is so important, why security should be in place. So why you want to make sure that there's no misuse of your systems. And when we consider those axes, and that's what we're going to wrap up with, people and skills, like I said, mostly rely on external consultants, no vision or strategy to grow talent, ad hoc knowledge sharing. That's what we consider really immature organizations. And really mature ones, well, there we have the senior talent in-house, clear career path, good curriculum for training, and knowledge sharing is constant because, well, this space is evolving rapidly. Tools and tech. Immature ones, well, just they need to ask IT for anything, just like I apparently had to ask IT for a proper Zoom meeting. But ask IT for sandbox environment, some self-maintained stuff, no maintenance, probably a lot of legacy systems at play. Whereas really mature organizations, they can set up their own infra that they need. So their own sandbox and production environments, maybe even. They can easily scale on a safe and secure cloud environment. And they build in a modular way so they can also easily update solutions instead of having to shut down entire systems. And from a data point of view, immature organizations, one-off data dumps, often data is replicated across different use cases, no ownership, no governance. Well, the organization is unaware that data is valuable. It's like a second-class citizen. Whereas the really mature ones, integrated and accessible data in a centralized platform, chief data officer in place, data governance in place, quality controls in place, and well, AI practices demonstrate the use of data and the value or many people in the organization consider it valuable because of those demonstrated use cases. From a business adoption point of view, the immature ones, just some bottom initiatives, AI use cases are pushed from the AI capability or the tech team. Little or no communication about any development going on within the company. Whereas really mature ones, there we have leadership asking for solutions in line with their strategic priorities, really business pull instead of a tech push, and a really active AI community maybe even, that fuels and activates the organization to adopt that AI-driven mindset. Funding. Well, immature organizations, IT funds the party, no experimentation budget, no value measurement. Mature ones, well, guess what? Business funds the AI solutions with central budget for experimentation, innovation, maybe playing around with large language models to see how this could be applicable to your organization, and value benefit tracking. Implementation, siloed implementation for the immature ones, really hard to roll out, I would say impossible to roll out, and any AI work comes on top of regular work, where mature organizations, well, guess what? Resources are freed up to implement AI, to roll it out across the organization. The business is in charge of the rollout, and you have a clear design process in place to make that all happen and to guarantee value impact. For example, the AI solution framework that we saw earlier. So, if anything you want to remember from today, I would say these are your two key messages. Solution framework, can help you to develop trustworthy AI solutions with deliberate go, no go decisions or moments in where you as a leader can ask for responsible and ethical considerations. And that checklist is not all the questions you want to ask. Like I said, I just focus on the responsibility and ethical part and try to make it hands-on for you. There's a lot more. If you want to know about a lot more, well, then drop me an email and I can give you a lot more. Secondly, set up for success. The last 10 minutes, we spent a bit on a really high level on what do you as organization need to be successful in developing AI solutions or using AI throughout your company, I would say. And well, main message here, just like a successful restaurant, you need to invest both in your kitchen and your service area to make it a success and be able to serve those really tasty dishes with the respective or the best wine pairing or drink pairing in general. So thanks for your attention. Again, my sincere apologies for the logistics around the Zoom meeting. I guess I'm to blame, so I'll take the blame and try to merge the recordings for the people who like to watch the recording or could not make it today. So if you watch the recording, you were not part of the webinar, I had some tech hiccups, but many people managed to rejoin, so really appreciate it. Thanks for the thumbs up, also appreciate that. And yeah, I would say don't forget to check out the other webinars during this week. So yeah, it will be some really nice different topics, even some hands-on coding if you're into that. So I can highly recommend, for example, the session of Kayo, but also Lisanne, all of them, I would say. So thanks a lot. Drop me an email if you have any questions. And I just saw that the recordings of both sessions will be shared. So thanks, Sylvia, for answering that question already. Appreciate it. Take care.